Hi, this is Brian with ActiveMelody.com. In this week's guitar lesson, we're going to break down a slow country composition that's played solo guitar. That means you don't need any accompaniment. You can grab an acoustic or electric guitar and you can learn to play this. It's a lot of fun to play and it's really not that difficult. We're going to break down everything that I played note for note, and I'll explain where all those notes come from so that you can start to use them when you improvise and write your own music. So in this video, we're going to break down the first half. If you'd like to watch the second half, as well as download the tablature and access the on-screen tab viewer for this lesson, you can get all of that by going to ActiveMelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page, and do a search for EP250. Alright, so if you haven't subscribed to the Active Melody YouTube channel yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also the little alert bell so that you can be notified in real time when I put out new lessons, which I do every week, and I've been doing it for many years. In fact, I'm so militant about it, I wanted to show you a behind-the-scenes look, behind the camera, so you can see what the view is. Now, those of you that know me, you know that I live in Tennessee. There's no beaches anywhere nearby, but I'm at a condo with my family on the beach, but I had to have a lesson out this week, and so I brought cameras and lights and microphones, and you can imagine how thrilled they all were when I was loading stuff up. But this is a labor of love and I love doing it. I never want to miss a week. I'm just obsessed with it. And so while I was here, I was sitting around on the couch trying to figure out what I was going to do this week, and I came up with this country composition, which I think is really cool. There's a lot of great takeaways in it, and it's a great little standalone composition. So let's break it down. So this is in the key of C, and it starts on a G chord, a G7, G dominant 7. I started by just playing that chord. That's the 5 chord. And then we go into this pedal steel lick, which goes like this. Right into the 1 chord, or the C. Now let me show you how to play this pedal steel thing, and then I'll show you how to connect it back to a chord shape so that you can use it in any key. So the way I'm playing it is I'm barring the first 2 strings on the 3rd fret, and I'm using my ring finger and middle finger on my right hand to pluck those strings. Even though I'm holding the pick, with these 2 fingers, I find it more precise sounding. It sounds more like a pedal steel if I pluck that. Now if you're not a hybrid picker, you don't have to do that. You can just pick those 2 strings, but try using these fingers and plucking that. So I'm doing a hammer-on between the 3rd fret and the 5th fret on the 2nd string, and then I slide up to the 6th fret on the 2nd string with my ring finger, and then back down to the 5th fret. So that's what it sounds like. And then I go down and do the same kind of thing. I slide everything down 2 frets, so now I'm barring the first 2 strings on the 1st fret, and I do a hammer on to the 3rd fret, 2nd string, and then down to the 1 chord. Now I'm just playing a C chord in 1st position. I'm still plucking strings 1 and 2 with these fingers, but in this case, once we got to the C chord, I also use the pick on the 5th string to hit that low C note. So we have sounds like that. Now again, if you're not a hybrid picker, you can just play the C chord like that, and either way is going to sound okay. So from the start we have that G7 and then down to that C chord. Now after that, then I just played a strum pattern which sounds like this. Now this is a great strum pattern. If you learn nothing else in this, maybe you're familiar with it, maybe you're not. Here's what I'm doing. I've got a C chord, but I've got my ring finger going back and forth between the 5th string and the 6th string, both on the 3rd fret. So it looks like this. Just watch the ring finger. So you can see these 2 fingers stay locked down, but this one is your bass player. So I'm just simulating what the bass player would do. So the strum pattern with the right hand is down, down, up, down, up, down, up. So say that to yourself. Down, down, up, down, up, down, up. And that's a great little strum pattern. Now let me show you how to connect this pedal steel lick that we started with back to a chord shape. If you think of the C chord like this, that's using that A chord shape. We're just sliding it up a few frets. And look at what you're doing when you play that. Now, some people play it like this, but the point is you've got 1 finger on the 5th fret and then one on the 3rd fret and 1 on the 5th fret. You're straddling 2 frets. So if you're playing a C, it looks like that. If you're playing a D, it looks like that, and so forth. Well, when we started with that pedal steel lick, you can see that it's also straddling frets 3 and 5. So you can connect it back to this chord shape. So let's try playing that same lick over D. See how that works? So just connect that in your mind back to a chord shape, and it'll start to make sense. And really what you're doing is you're building a puzzle. I'm giving you puzzle pieces to fit into this puzzle that I'm building. But once you have the pieces, you can start to create your own puzzles. And that's really how you come up with your own sound. That's why it's so valuable to pick up these little licks and then understand how you can start to use them. It really will make you a much better player. All right, from the beginning. Now we continue, and I keep playing the melody. So I'm really going back and forth between, this is kind of a call and response. I'm playing a little bit of a melody and then playing strumming some chords. Now the next thing I played goes. Now that's going into the 4 chord, or the F. So that's just the 1st fret to the 3rd fret on the 2nd string. And then the open 2nd string, or that open B string. And then watch this. I come down and play the F chord, but I'm only playing a triad. I'm just playing the top 3 strings. So instead of playing all 6 strings from the F chord, I don't need them all. I'm just playing, even though I'm doing a solo composition, I can still get away with playing triads. So I'm borrowing the first 2 strings on the 1st fret, and then my middle finger is on the 2nd fret, 3rd string. And the way that I played it was I picked the notes out of the chords like this. So it's 3, 2, 1, 2. And then while I've got that down, I did a hammer-on to the 3rd fret, 3rd string, like that, and then 2, 1, 2, and then back to the F chord. So just remember, if you're soloing or playing a solo composition like this, you don't have to just strum chords. You can pick the notes out of chords. Now the next chord is a D minor, and so I continued with that same theme where I'm playing a little bit of a melody and then going into the chord. So that's what I play. Think of that as a little fill lick. So I'm going from the 3rd fret to the 5th fret on the 2nd string, and then I'm playing the 3rd fret 1st string, and then the 1st fret 1st string. Now remember all of these notes in reference to the key of C. That would be how you kind of want to think about them. So if you're playing a C chord, you can start to think about, look at that, I could have went to an F chord and it would have worked. I could go to a G chord. Or I could go to the C chord. As long as I'm playing in the key of C, it's going to work. And so that's why that worked. Even though there was a D minor chord, that D minor is one of the chords that's in the key of C. Alright, so I played the D minor chord there, and then I came down here while that D minor's playing. Now let the D string ring out. And then I came down, I use my pinky, some of you may be using your ring finger for that, but that's the 5th fret, 2nd string, and I do a half bend. That means I'm just going up 1 fret above where I started. And then played the G7 chord. So let's back up, that's a lot of information. Let's take it back from the beginning. We'll start from that 5 chord. That's what we have so far, right? And then all I did was I played that same pedal steel lick and went right back to the C chord. And I started it with that open G string, and then did the hammer on, back to the C chord. And then did that same strum pattern with the C chord. So after the C chord, then I played the G7 again, and that's the reset. That's exactly the way we started the song. So now we're going to go through that again. We're going to go through the same structure, but I'm going to play something different this time. This is just to give you some different ideas. Same chord structure underneath it. So what I came up here and played was So let's learn that. And really all that is, that's just the C major scale. Think of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do for C. That's all I'm doing. I'm playing the notes right out of that scale. So I'm coming up here to, the other way you might think of it is the C major pentatonic scale. I know a lot of you are thinking in terms of those pentatonic scales. Same thing, we've just got 2 extra notes in the pentatonic scale to make it the major scale. But we're going to start here on the 8th fret 1st string, and then the 7th fret 1st string, and then down to the 5th fret 1st string. So that's a triplet, and then we come down to the 8th fret 2nd string, 5th fret 2nd string. You can see how the pentatonic scale pattern 1 is right in there. And then I do a quick slide from the 8th fret to the 7th fret on the 3rd string, and then down to the 5th fret 3rd string. Now after that I played. And what I'm doing there is I'm thinking of this C chord shape, but I'm playing it up here so I've got a different bass note. That's really the way. That's the Wind Cries Mary technique. I always think of that as Wind Cries Mary. And so what I'm doing to do that, to play that, is I'm barring the first 4 strings on the 5th fret, and then I've got my ring finger up here on the 7th fret 5th string. So I played 5, 4, and 3. And then after that I went. And that's going up to that C7, right? So just take your ring finger off, keep this bar down the whole time, and then I put my ring finger down on the 7th fret 4th string and played 4, 3, 2, and then slid ring finger up to the 8th fret 4th string and played that note. Actually I hit strings 4 and 3. Again, it's that bar is down the whole time. That's just another way of playing a C7 chord. And I only know it just from that walk up. I use that a lot if I'm soloing. That's how I think of it. And so that's what I'm connecting it to. And I knew when I played that I had that little 7th thing underneath it. Alright, so let's back up from the beginning. From that G7 chord, and we'll play up to where we're at. I'll play through it slowly. Alright, now the next part, and this will conclude this video, takes us to the F chord. I'm going to leave it there, and we're going to leave part 1 there. I just want to show you how to play this. This is a little lead thing that I use all the time, and I've talked about it before. It's a harmonized third, and it's played off of this chord shape. So when I'm playing the C chord, look at where this finger is barring here on the 5th fret. If I replace that bar with my index finger, and I just play strings 2 and 3, I can do this little harmonized third all around a C. And so just remember that, because you could play it in any key. So that if you're playing a D chord, you can see how it connects back to that chord shape. So I'm plucking again with my middle finger and ring finger, strings 2 and 3, and then I put these 2 fingers down in a different pattern. So instead of them being on the same fret, I've now got my middle finger on the 6th fret 2nd string, my ring fingers on the 7th fret 3rd string, and I slide that up 2 frets and then back down to where I started. And then I play that first thing that I played, which was the strings 2 and 3 on the 5th fret. So we have, and then from there I go to the F chord. Now that is an F triad, and that's that Keith Richards 1 to the 4 chord that I use all the time. So to play that, you just bar the first 4 strings, in this case on the 5th fret, and middle finger goes down on the 6th fret 2nd string, ring finger goes down on the 7th fret, 4th string, but you're only playing strings 4, 3, and 2. So when you put that F chord in with that little fill lick, it sounds like that. In fact, I think I played it a little ahead of the beat like that. So I went ahead and made the chord, plucking strings 2 and 3, and then I picked separately the 4th string like that, just to give it a little bit of a stagger. And that's where we're going to conclude this part 1 video. I'll play through everything one more time, and then I'll see you in part 2. And make sure you check out Premium Membership if you haven't. It's a great value. New lessons every week, very in-depth, and I've got 300 at least other lessons of this nature. Here we go.